Hello and welcome to Outsourcing Fit. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be speaking with Jess Hahn this morning. He's joining us here from StraightSource as the Chief Knowledge Officer. We're going to show the benefits of outsourcing and provide some in-depth information on outsourcing. Welcome to Outsourcing Fit, Jess. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure's all mine.
If you would, tell our listeners why you're excited about outsourcing.
Well, I've been in the outsourced labor business going back to 1977. So I have a little bit of experience from the recruiting field. I was originally a management recruiter focused on sales recruiting. And what I realized the more I was involved in recruiting is I got a better understanding of inside corporations. And I saw the need for outsourced labor. At the time, all there was a few companies like Adecco and Manpower, which were just doing basic labor, but there was no real major outsourced labor companies at the time. So I moved over from the recruiting side and got more on the candidate sourcing side and then staffing. In fact, my company was one of the first companies in the world that actually provide on-site recruiters in Silicon Valley. And because it used to be that the only way you could hire someone is the hiring manager put an ad in a local newspaper for about $5,000, like the LA Times, post the ad, get the resumes via mail, read them, and then call the candidate up, interview them, and bring them in, hire them, and then give them to the human resource department. That's the way it was done, going back to the beginning of time. And what happened was that I had started not just doing recruiting anymore, providing companies with qualified candidates so they could hire themselves, and they paid a flat rate for these candidates. We were called HTC Research. We just sold qualified, interested candidates for a flat rate. And then company says, well, we love your people. Can we just hire your people instead of having a recruiter? So instead we put on-site recruiters. And that's how the staffing industry started, which is contract labor, which is what recruiters are globally. Every company in the world now has a staffing department and usually a contract recruiter. And then I saw in 2008, after the financial crisis, that nobody was hiring for several years. So I realized I had to get into another field. And I noticed in my research that every 10 years there is a catastrophe in the world, whatever it may be. It could be the oil embargo in the 70s. It could be the real estate crisis in the 80s. It was just one after another every 8 to 10 years. That COVID hit in 2020, and I was prepared, and we were big into mortgage process outsourcing. We provided a high-quality individual that can do all the components of a mortgage process, from all the way from verification to review, pre- and post-closing, underwriting, all done offshore. Bangalore is kind of the Silicon Valley of mortgage processing now. My company skyrocketed.
Is there a huge difference between outsourcing and offshoring? And I heard you mention basic labor. I guess I'm assuming that that's where they send a person to a company to perform a service and then they go home after that. Explain the basic differences in what you do as opposed to basic labor.
Absolutely. Well, there's basically, you're looking at two types. You've got companies that provide labor that go into your company. So let's say you've got a IT department. You can outsource the entire IT department to a big company. Those people, even though they're in the same seats doing the same job, don't work for your ABC company anymore. They work for an Accenture, an IBM, whatever it may be. And the company just pays a flat rate for those 100 or 1,000 individuals, and they're doing that work on site. Not unlike someone who's cleaning an office. That's outsourced labor. Anything where a person is working in an office, but they're being paid their benefits, their medical, everything through an outsourced labor company like a Adecco, a Manpower, etc. So that's one type of outsourcing. The other type is, as you said, nearshore, where, for example, it could be in Mexico, Canada, or South America. That's called nearshore. And then there's offshore, which can be obviously Asia, Europe, etc. So that is where, instead of your employees being upstairs or down the street or across the country, they're offshore. They're full-time individuals working in very secure facilities. They're being paid a flat hourly rate. The companies don't pay for management. They don't pay for the facilities, computers. If someone's sick, they have another person ready to go. It's an incredible service. And all a company does is pay a flat rate. They don't pay the taxes for the individual, and it comes out of a different department and budget. It's incredibly effective. In fact, an average company can cut their costs without cutting their quality of service or their production 50% on average, usually more. Outsourcing is the only way a company can truly cut costs effectively.
Take a couple of minutes and tell us about StraightSource proper. I heard you mention financial services, mortgages, and whatnot. What services does StraightSource offer, and what is your geographical footprint today?
Sure. Pretty much anywhere where a person doesn't have to physically be in a chair, StraightSource can do. So we can do call center, inbound, outbound, IT support, software development, accounting, finance, mortgage processing, artificial intelligence development, software development, mobile applications, web applications, analytics, whatever a company needs for outsourced labor. Even engineering. We do railroad. Several companies I can't mention. We did the doors for the railroad. Huh. So we do custom design. We do civil engineering. We do electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, anything that needs outsourced labor. Our major business, though, is call center, software engineering, and mortgage processing.
Talk about how AI plays a major part in your business.
Well, we have a very unique service called Avatar. Avatar is basically pre-recorded components of the entire conversation, an outbound, inbound call. And then our agents don't speak. They're just pressing buttons. If you were to call, I can't mention companies, but we have companies, major Fortune 500 companies, that they're using agents, and the cost is incredible, and the quality of the voice isn't, because it's all pre-recorded. Like for one company on the Cancer Society, we say, thank you so much for your donation. It'll make such a difference with the Cancer Society. And the people, that's all pre-recorded. It's all pre-recorded components of a conversation.
And you're unable to differentiate between AI and actual human voice, yeah?
It's human-assisted dialogue.
Okay.
It's a human being pressing the button on what the person's supposed to say. Artificial intelligence, has been around for years with American Airlines and American Express using Genesis, is good, but everybody knows it's a computer. With avatars or soundboard, you don't know because it's a live agent. They listen and they respond by pressing a button.
How can folks get in touch with you and learn much more about StraightSource and your outsourcing services?
StraightSource.com. Straight like a straight line, source.com. It's a phenomenal website. It provides all our information. At the end of the day, the most effective way for a company to increase their net profit, people seem to think that when you outsource, you're letting American workers go. It's the reverse. Outsourcing gets rid of mundane labor, the labor where people are doing the same thing again and again and again. And then those people be trained to do better paying work, higher paying jobs. It's moving to the next level. This is a must. It's why every year outsourcing gets bigger and bigger. It's a necessity for every company, big or small.
Jess, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on Outsourcing Fit. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You've been listening to Outsourcing Fit. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Jess Hahn, Chief Knowledge Officer at StraightSource. Find out more at StraightSource.com and learn more about us at verticalinternetmedia.com and our BPO services at OutsourcingFit.com.